Hey guys, welcome to the Blue Collar Business Podcast, where we discuss the realest, rawest, most relevant stories and strategies behind building every corner of a blue collar business. I'm your host, Cy Kirby, and I want to help you. What it took me, trial and error, and a whole lot of money to learn. The information that no one in this industry is willing to share. Whether you're under that shade tree or have your hard hat on, let's expand your toolbox. Welcome back, guys, to another episode of the Blue Collar Business Podcast. Sponsored by podcastvideos.com. We get to be in the wonderful, I think they call this the newscast room this morning, presented on some beautiful 4K imagery back to you guys. Appreciate you guys tuning in today. I've got a wonderful episode that this gentleman has been on the list. He probably doesn't even know how long he's been on the list, but he's been on the guest list for some time and helped me fill a cancellation this week out of the blue. And we've actually done very small amount of business together, but I've known of this gentleman for some time. There is a ton of guys in my community that work for this gentleman, and he treats them right, and he's been 20 years in business. So plumbers, you need to take a pen and paper out, because he's fixing to give you a business model that he's ran for 20 years and been effective, and still has an amazing reputation and name around town. And furthermore, Jerry Houy of Jerry's Plumbing. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks for having me.
Well, today we're literally just going to hear a little bit about your story, as much as you want to tell, and hopefully some funny highlights and experiences of that the plumbing world has taught you. But what year did we get started?
I got started in my own business in 2009. I got in the plumbing industry in 2000. Let's see, probably I graduated high school in 90. So I got into plumbing around, let's see, 2000. Right around 2000.
My God.
You know,
but 25 years now.
Yeah, and I started my business, I guess, in 2008, 2009, maybe 26 years.
He's going to have some good stories to tell us about that when we get there. But what was it like when you started out as an apprentice? When I'm assuming you went to work for somebody for the first 5 or 6 years learning plumbing?
Yeah, my dad was a construction worker. We framed houses, built houses, and I was just a pack mule, carried shingles and aluminum.
That's how we all start.
And I hated every day I went to work, and the plumbers would show up on the job, and they're just hooting and hollering, having a blast, you know, and I'm mad all the time because I hate what I was doing. And just the owner of that plumbing company one day just came up and told me, he said, you go to work for me, I'll pay you $1 more an hour you're making, which put me at like $5.50 an hour. Wow. And he said, no, I'll put you through school. He said, all you need to do is show it with a pencil. So
easy enough.
Yeah, so I took that opportunity, and man, it was just, you're the lowest on the totem pole, you know, at that point. You just got to know what you want. I always wanted to be self-employed in something, and I just fell in love with plumbing. It was no longer work. It was fun. I liked going in, and no matter what they asked me to do, I just did it with, hop and skip. Yes, sir. And that obviously people started liking me. You know, anybody that got me as their helper, they just, they wanted me, just because all I did was I worked hard and I did what I was told, you know.
Yep.
I did that for four grinding years. Went to school. We'd go to school like about 3 months out of the year. You go to school for one night a week, 4 hours, one night a week.
And this gentleman was paying for that,
He
right?
paid for every bit of it. I just knew show up. And then it was just rough years, you know. I wasn't making much money. And then I got through my schooling and got my journeyman. And then I just worked for a company for a couple, it's really 3-4 years in there. I had a guy that worked there that quit and went out and started his own business, which was really hard for me because that's what I wanted to do. I was just scared, you know.
We all were.
Then I went to work for him, and I gave him like 8 years. And it finally got the nerve to get my my master. Before I got my master's, I had already bought my work truck, picked up tools here and there where I could, and had a couple builders. They all knew of me through the years of working in the field that said, "You ever start your own company, you call me." So I finally made the
compliment, man.
Yeah.
Just from your work ethic.
Yeah. So I made the jump. I called them, and they gave me a job, and went and did my first underground rough in, and I was scared to death. He showed up on the job, handed me my check, and I went straight to the supply house. That was because I didn't know if I was even making money. He just told me how much he would pay me, so I ran to the supply house, and I don't know, I probably had like $4,000 check in my hand. They told me my material was like $900,
and you're like,
and I said, "Oh, now I got to do taxes on this money." So I sat on that money and did a few more jobs, and just panically went in. Finally, supply house said, "Jerry, you don't have to pay that bill every job. You can wait monthly." I said, "Nope, I'm doing it every week." So
smart, brother.
Yeah, that really got me going. And then I just started getting super busy. I couldn't do it all myself, and I hired my wife. Well, I didn't say hire, but she would cut that pipe. She would drag pipe through the mud. She'd roll 500-foot roll gas plastic out, and we'd get after it. About 1 o'clock, she'd have to go pick up the kids. I was working in Huntsville at the time, and I would stay out there and grind and get it done, and come in dark every day. And then after about a year of that, I finally had to hire on a guy.
Right.
And then it was just
him starting as an apprentice under mama.
Yeah.
As your journeyman.
And we had 3 little kids at the time. I mean, I don't want to say babies, but I mean, we're talking probably 4th, 3rd kindergarten.
Just like me right now, 8, 6, and 4-month-old.
Yeah.
And
you just grind, it's what you want to do. You got to just grind and never let anything stop you, because I had offers. I had a very large plumbing company in this area make me an offer that was just unbelievable, and I wouldn't take it. I wanted to have my own business, and I did. So, we got her going.
And you plumbing over the years, mainly residential homes, not really stepping out on the commercial, but doing repetitive subdivision homes, and obviously customs as well. That comes with the market, but that's been kind of the mainstream, and you've kind of figured out how to build a system from, well, let's not go too far here. So we've still got, how many years did we run with just the one guy? I'm assuming it was pretty waterfall after that.
Probably a year.
Yep.
About a year.
Then you've got a crew of 3 probably within another year of that, and hopefully Mama's now working in the office a little bit.
Yep. Yeah, that's pretty much how it took off.
And then you were out there slinging, trying to make sure they had work in front of them, because you were scared just like I was every day. You got these 3 guys, and you're like, man, if we don't do this, and if we don't get this check in here, then I can't. And it's just a constant fear, especially in those early years. But what did you do? I think you've already spoke on it. It's your work ethic, number one, as an apprentice, and it should go to show you guys that are jumping into the plumbing field or jumping in any field, just come ready to work every single day. Listen, shut your mouth, keep your phone in your pocket, get a daggum pen and notepad that you can slip in your one shirt or your one pocket of your shirt, and just take notes all day long and ask those questions. And then a year will go by, and then somebody will notice you.
Yeah. You get noticed out there. You don't even realize. People's just watching you all the time. I just feel so old anymore, because so many of the builders that wanted to use me when I started my business, I got too busy and I couldn't keep up. Some of them has, passed away since then and stuff. And it's like, I'm dealing with so many new, younger guys now in the, superintendent world, that the younger guys that work for me, they all click. Like they're like best friends with the super. And I'm like, man, y'all just go. You just run with it. You got
I do.
go when you got that relationship. Just, I don't need to be big boss, man.
Good for you. It took me some time to figure that out.
It's hard. You feel like you have to micromanage every single thing that happens. But, I have a quality control guy that I hired just to give me some,
Feedback.
space. And I tell you what, man, as long as there's no fires to put out, nobody calls me. And they're very, very few and far between. So
That's really interesting. When did you, this is going to be probably every plumber in America that has the one crew and can sell enough work. How did you step out and do a second crew and keep them, of course, busy? I mean, it comes with good work and good quality of work. But when did you know that point? And was it just a giant leap of faith, or did you already have the work?
Man, I tell you, it has to just be the leap of faith, because in construction, there's no guaranteed 40 hours a week. Man, and anybody that gets in the business has to know that, there's going to be rainy days and stuff. So for me I just had to take them on. And if I didn't have the work, I had to create work, wash the truck, organize the shop, just something to give you your 8 hours, and because, I knew I need them. And if I can't keep them busy, they're going to go somewhere else. So yeah, there is a lot of risk taken there, especially when you got to go buy another truck, and you got to buy tools, and you're setting this whole truck up, and then you got to send them on to go represent your name. You're hoping they're out there doing their job as good as I'm over the other side of, Springdale doing my job. Loosening them reins was the hardest thing that I ever had to do. But I've got 6 crews right now, and every single one of them are
They're studs, dude.
Yes.
Yep.
I'm just so blessed to finally have them. And I'm telling you, I've been through hundreds, I'm saying hundreds, and the strong remain, the committed,
Yes, sir.
they stay. And that's where I'm at right now. I've got solid guys. I don't have to worry about, were they going to leave me or are they going to quit me? I try to take good care of them. And
when do you, I understand I've only been at it, we're starting our 10th year in August, been about half the time, but I have been through so many folks. I have that core group that's been here a elongated time, 2 to 4 years out of the 9 that we've been open. But when do you know that, okay, we get an apprentice, say we get 3 or 4 of them come through, with starting another crew, going from 2 crews to 6 crews, I think a lot of folks are sitting out there, say a journeyman that's sitting out there and go, why can't I run a truck? Why can't I run a truck? Why will this guy not see that I'm the guy? And a lot of times, guys, just like Jerry said, hey, hopefully he's taking off in my truck with my name on it, and he's doing exactly what I would like him to do. It's not about necessarily the work. It's how organized, how clean, what kind of presentation are you out there just cussing up a storm for everybody and their dog to hear you? Yeah. Because that's Jerry's name on the side of that truck. So when do you know for sure? Because this has been one of the hardest things for me. I've elevated people, and I shouldn't have. I should have kept them in the role that they were in. Yeah. When do you know that apprentice is the guy that's going to do it?
Well, that's a great question, really, because just this morning we had an incident where an apprentice had to drive one of my extra trucks to get to the job, and lost the gas cap on the truck. So I said, why'd you lose the gas cap? What happened? Were you not thinking, blah, blah, blah? And he says, well, he said, I must have said, not very much. He said, I probably get over for $3, $4. I said, it's not about the gas cap. I said, it's your responsibility. It's the fact that, I can't, you're irresponsible at that. What else are you going to be irresponsible at? And I said, so, I said, you got a target on you right now, in my opinion, because I said, I'm watching you for that. But you just got to watch that as they're growing. You got to see if they're going to be responsible enough. Mm-hmm. And unfortunately, it's a risk you got to take somewhat. But they start out for me, when they become a journeyman, they have to, in my opinion, they have to go in a truck and they have to go out and make company money.
Yep.
Training's over.
Agreed.
If you're not responsible, you wouldn't have been in those 4 years. You're not going to be. So, I try to cut that dead weight, so to speak.
Yep.
So by the time you give a guy a truck, you're 100% confident in them.
Agreed.
You work on these little hiccups, the little things that they don't think's a big deal.
Which are the biggest deal to us. And you're like, if you would just, you do your job so well, if you would just grasp that you need to just present yourself a little bit differently and go, it's just a $3-4 gas cap. Buddy, that irritates me so bad. It's not just the gas cap or a gas can or a tool or it's a shovel that's $25 shovels drive me crazy. But it's the responsibility factor. It's when can we trust you? And then once to those guys that just got that position, hey, don't take a mile. If we're giving an inch and we're showing the trust and we're showing that, hey, you might be this guy, take that 90 days to really secure in your role. And that's the time you're going to ask questions that we're expecting. Yeah. But don't just go out there and expect the world. Now you've got this big boy position. Just like Jerry said, it's your job to be the direct earner for that truck. You are the talented individual that he is paying to be responsible for not just the truck, the tools, and the trailer, but one of the most expensive parts of the job, the labor. Yeah. And it's got to be efficient, and that has been a struggle for me to figure that out because I have trusted and gave folks opportunities several times and that I probably shouldn't have. And that's not necessarily on them. Even though they're telling me they're ready for it, I've got to have, and I think this just comes from experience, Jerry. I hope you tell me this because I'm sitting there, I want to give them what they want. But at the same time, I've got my heart on one side, my mind on the other, and it's taken me some years to figure out that my mind really has to take over in those scenarios.
Yeah, because, you're the liable one at the end of the day.
For sure. Well, 6 crews. So what is a typical day in, say, Jerry's plumbing world now with what we've got going on 20 years in? Now, what are our crews doing? What's our admin doing? Just kind of give a rough what these guys can hopefully see, because I've been to Jerry's shop. It is very organized. He has systems. He has processes. And I sit here and talk on the show all the time about processes and systems because I didn't have them in place and I was the bottleneck for my company. So my systems and processes and procedures with AI sprinkled in places is very different than Jerry's. But we're sitting here on two sides of the table that both have systems that work in place. But give us kind of a rundown per se of what a normal day with 6 dadgum plumbing crews, brother.
Well, yeah, there's 2 guys per crew. So, I don't show up at my shop till about 7.
Yep.
I've got a couple guys that are, they're just raring to go every day. So, I got guys showing up from 6:15 to right at 7:29, you know what I mean? Mm. And, but they, they come in and they're paired up with a journeyman. So, the apprentice knows who he's working with, and we just put our schedule on the boards, and, we all try to sit around and talk about the day before or just laugh and joke and just kind of, I don't know what you call it.
Camaraderie.
Yeah, and we do that.
Sure.
And then, 7, I don't have to do a whole lot of nothing. It just, they know their job, and my guys are so good that they know their job. And, I just sit back and observe. I don't have to observe my journeymen no more. They're locked in here until they aren't. But my apprentices, they're the ones that really watching. I'm watching that apprentice that, picks up that trash can and goes and takes the trash out without being asked, or that paper towel or something I threw at the trash and missed it, and the apprentice that picked it up without even being asked, those are going to be the future of Jerry's Plumbing, and, But yeah, that's pretty much it. And at 7:30, everybody better be moving.
Yep.
There's no ifs, ands, or buts, and I don't have to say nothing. When that clock hits 7:30, them guys are clearing out. They're out in the shop pulling orders, looking on the tractors. I'm going over blueprints, what I need to with the guys that might have questions for the day. And I mean, it's absolute hooting and hollering and chaos. And apprentices running around and getting ice in the coolers and loading drinks up. And then all of a sudden at like 8 o'clock straight up, you could hear a pin drop.
Ghost town, baby. You bet.
Yeah, and it's that way every day. But, I have my two of my three daughters work in the office, and my wife works in there with them. So
How cool is that?
it's awesome. I do not do much. I don't honestly. I mean,
How cool is it to work with your two daughters and your wife?
yeah.
I got two girls now myself.
Yeah.
I would love that.
Yeah. My oldest daughter, she's pretty much taken the manager title in the office. And cool thing about her is she's been with me about 8 years maybe. And she went and got her journeyman.
No way.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
Because her and her husband started with me about the same time. So they just studied together. She went to plumbing school. She's went out and set toilets. She set faucets, and she went down and took the test, and she passed it. And then he passed his, and then they both became journeymen. She's due to go down next month to get her master. So,
No way. I bet the guys respect her, though.
oh yeah,
Because she's gone out there, done the exact same qualifications to adhere to what they do. So when she asks at 2:30, the customer called in, they're a little upset. It may be a little silly, but we're going to run by, and they ain't going to have no problem. Yes, ma'am, no problem, I bet.
oh yeah. That's all you hear in
Too
the offices. Yes, ma'am, from everybody. They really respect them. I got to sit back and be a little bit quiet because I just know about enough to be dead to shit. The minute I ruffle their plan or their little schedule, boy,
Yep.
we got
And did
house.
in the last, you say, 5, but from the 10-year mark on, with the scalability and the growth that you've gone to, when did you know that these smaller redundant systems and processes were needed within your business? Like as in even from the clock in, clock out method to a document what you guys have done for the day, or, hey, did you pull this stuff off the shelf or not?
Yeah. Man, I'd say I've been pretty much like that from very almost beginning. It's just, it's so important that where every single, and I deal in thousands of different fittings,
Sir.
pies, and I don't know. I'm just very strict about that. I see a piece of pipe that's 6 inches long. I see, $1.25. I don't see a 6-inch piece of scrap pipe. I see a piece of pipe that I know for a fact you can make a couple makeup pieces out of that.
Yep.
So I don't think I ever got to nipped in the butt by anything because I was already implementing it. I would say time cards was something that kind of came a little later than I would have liked.
Yep.
I just got crumbled up paper written, said I had 42 hours, give me a check.
We all did it at one point. I did the same thing. I didn't know there was anything else different.
I know. It was like you just wrote checks on whatever. And
Yep.
so now probably one of the hardest things is to get everybody to fill their time out each day. If you can't do it today, do it first thing in the morning.
Yeah.
And I'm still working with that because that still don't happen.
Okay.
You can still sit there long about Tuesday and they know they got to get time cards in there. What time did we get off Monday? So
I understand that one. And honestly, there's so many software programs out there now, but I literally went to combat that was a phone system. It's actually integrates with QuickBooks and everything else, goes straight to their payroll, but they clock in and out on their phone. They request everything, and I track where they're at. If they want paid, I got to know where they're at. not be in any way, but at the same time, are you driving to and from the job? Are we, if that, yeah, absolutely.
That's a good idea.
And there's so many software programs out there that are very simplistic for them, very simplistic for the company to adhere to. But with my kind of, not to get off on this, but I got into so many battles with GCs. Well, your guy didn't show up that day and do this. Well, just a second. Check your email. There's where he was located on your job on this day for this many hours. No, sir, I'm going to need paid for that.
Yeah.
And that helped me with just more in the commercial game. Not so much, obviously, when I never could scale the residential side of me. I wish I could have. Yeah. I really do. Guys, Blue Collar Performance Marketing, absolutely been with them the last 7.5 months. And I can tell you, just sat through another strategy meeting literally 2.5 hours ago. And I can't tell you how enthused in the value that I'm receiving in our marketing strategy and our campaign and everything that we're doing behind the scenes. If you guys need that in your world, need a website, need anything marketing, get over to bcperformancemarketing.com/BCB podcast or click the link in the description below. They'll give you a total free discovery call and basically go over the entire marketing campaign. Do you need a website? Do you need this first? Do you need that first? Answer all your questions. So get with them. Back here with Mr. Jerry. The biggest thing that me and Mr. Jerry have in common that not a lot of plumbers dive off and do is buy machines. They all have a truck or some Roto-Rooter equipment, but especially in the way you've built the residential side of the business, you were having to do so many rough-ins. Like, how many rough-ins are you guys doing a day?
We can well, now that I've got 2 backhoes, we could do 4 houses in a day. And it's like I tell my builders, they worry about me keeping up. And I said, I can do 4 a day. And they said, and we can work 6 days. So I said, that's 24 rough-ins a week. And I said, I have not had a builder once challenge me on that. So I'm like, don't worry about that part. But yeah, I tell you, it kind of takes me back to when I did start my business. That was the biggest investment. And I had no credit, had no job in their eyes, because I just quit the company I was with for 8 years, and nobody wanted to. There was no chance of you financing a tractor, and I got so lucky, blessed, guy that stepped in and co-signed for me, and got me in a tractor, and still needed a trailer, and the guy happened to have a trailer on his lot too, so he scooted me out the door, and he basically said, I believe in you. Don't let me down. And man, this old beater tractor, his bucket just.
You bet.
I got through it, and man, I got to buy my first backhoe, and that was good. So yeah, we do that on daily. We do 2 at least every day, and there's 3 phases. We do top out, which is go in and set tubs, run all the pipes in the walls, and then we go back to what we call fixture set out, set all the toilets, faucets, and stuff like that. But yeah, in one day we could do 2 rough ends, 2 top outs, 2 set outs with the crew I got. So
pretty impressive, sir. I mean, to have all the systems to be able to go, hey, my admin team knows what's going on. They respect the office in the field. One of the largest problems that I hear on this show all the time is, man, I can't, and they write in, I can't get my field in my office, or I'm sorry, dadgum guys, my admin and my operations to really communicate effectively. Well, it's taken me sometimes to really scale back and go, hey, what works? What's elementary? Is it a checklist? Is it whatever it is? And it's taken me some time to really make that a cohesive effort. But it sounds like your admin staff really just supports your guys in a different way.
Yeah. I've tried so many things, checklists. I personally would set out every day and go try to check the jobs that we do on a daily basis, and
you'll wear yourself out trying.
Yeah, and it was just it got to too much. So I created checklists, handed all the guys checklists, and unfortunately, that turned into jumping in the truck at the end of the day and just filling in all the spots. Yes, 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 and then turning it in.
And all about it.
That didn't work, and then the callbacks and the inspection failures is what proved it wasn't working. So I just ran into an ex-employee of mine one day that quit me because he was just getting elderly and he wasn't physically able to do it.
Understood.
I ran into him and we got to talking. I said, "Won't you be my QC guy?" I said, "You could get off your normal job and come do this in the evenings, just go around and check my work." And he's a top-notch plumber too. So we settled on a per phase price. And, I don't go out there. I still meet builders and things when they
Of course
to me, but I don't just go run the roads to burn up gas. And he does it. And, that's been the greatest thing I ever did. It was better than any checklist. And we find problems. We don't have a lot of problems, but we find things before the builders, before the inspectors, and we slide in there and we get it fixed because he writes it up. And it's just, we're working so smooth right now. I wouldn't change a thing that we're doing.
Man, 20 years in business, and he's sitting there talking about how smooth it is. It just goes to show you guys that you don't need all these new school systematic if you build a culture that folks like. I see posts all the time, breakfast in the shop, and they'll be cooking breakfast on a Blackstone, and it's a culture that I envy for sure. And I tried chasing the wrong culture at first, although it was a good culture. It just wasn't incentive-based, and it was more, hey, guys, we're going to go do this, rather than, hey, let's do this together to get to here to be able to go do this. And it's simple, not things like doing breakfast. We do breakfast and some lunches and whatnot, but it's the bigger items, and I have really had to rein back, do this together. And the one thing you just said before we end here, brother, I got one more question, but you said you had somebody help you co-sign, and so did I. And when you're first in business, guys, I just want to encourage you, like, most of the time when you jump off and you do your own thing and you've got to go finance something big, there's not a whole lot of folks that are going to work with you guys. They're just not. But if there is somebody that is believing in what you're doing, because thank God I had somebody on my first set of machines, and wasn't the most conducive business deal, but at the same time, look at us go now. And if I didn't take that risk, not everything is going to come at you on a silver platter is what I'm getting at. And it's those relationships that I talk about on this show all the time. Relationships are everything when it comes to business. Talking about builders that, you want to keep every relationship as close as you possibly can, of course. And when did you learn to, with as many folks as you have met over the years, brother, how do you decide on which client volume or pay terms or whatever it is? I think you could be a definite helper here in how do you weigh out which client's going to be better for your, operation? Because it's hard. You want to help everybody.
Yeah,
I do.
You do. You hear a lot of times people say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. I do believe that. And I have got 2 of the largest builders in Northwest Arkansas, but I also got about 8 smaller builders. And I don't know. I mean, obviously, you're going to focus on the large volume, but you're going to focus on the 150, 200, 300 houses they're going to do that year versus the guy that's only going to do 5 or 10. But it's just such a juggling act. It's just you work weekends, you work late, you just try to meet everybody's needs. But yes, at the end of the day, it is I don't know how you want to categorize them, but it's been a problem a time or two. I get calls that, and I don't feel the love, Jerry. I'm not feeling the love. I'm like, well, hang in there, brother, please. I was like, we're working evenings. My guys are working weekends. I said, we are trying. And I usually, just because I think we're good enough at what we do, and they be patient and give me that time. We get them caught up, and So that is a tough one, and it's, you don't want to ever have to treat any customer any less. And we don't really in that sense. It's just,
well, I guess the question would be is when to let go of a bad customer, I think would be a better question.
that's been fairly easy, trust me, because I don't want to sound overconfident or cocky, but I mean, we are good at what we do and we know we're good.
Yep.
If you don't appreciate that and you're going to call me and raise your voice and be disrespectful, you are going to get fired.
Yep.
And believe me, I have fired more builders than builders fired me.
Yes, sir.
And we just have zero tolerance for that. So, that's it. When it's time, I guess. You don't get
scary though, because they carry that volume, but at the same time, there is principles you set as an operator of a business that you're just not going to step over that line. That's my boundary line. I don't care how much work you got.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't think you need to sound overconfident or cocky, sir. You have the system in place with this QC gentleman who worked for you for a long time. He knows your expectations. He knows Jerry himself. Like, I think I have literally toyed with that in my mind, because I think some of the things that we run into, small things, meter can settling, or it tracer wire not like small things that are going to get caught on a large commercial punch list that I believe we should have already got because that's our standard. Whether it's the concrete guys ran over the meter can, nobody said that. Right. You know what I mean? Those situations happen too. But you're good at what you do because you've got a culture built within your team, and then you've got a gentleman making sure that we're doing exactly the standard that Jerry set for Jerry's plumbing. Yeah. And that is so hard and unique to find.
Yeah.
And truly, go ahead.
Well, I was just thinking, I just fell into that, running into that guy that day. And it was never on my mind. I never was thinking of it. I just kept going out and, doing it myself. And I just bumped into him, and I don't know where it came from. It just came right out of my mouth. I said, well, you don't go to work for me? And he said, oh, I couldn't do it anymore. I said, well, you can do QC maybe. Just go check my jobs. And he had just bought a new boat. And he said, man, I'm going to make my boat payment. And I said, and he's been doing it. I never see him. I see him one time a year. I invite him, twice. So we have an employee party every year, and then we have a Christmas party, and I see him at those two things.
That means he's getting the reports in, huh?
He gets it done, and if I see or hear of anything that's wrong, I immediately ask my girls, I'm like, why did QC not catch it? And I'm like, I don't know. Well, there I go, calling QC up. He sees me calling, he knows something's wrong.
Yeah.
He just answers the phone. Uh-oh, what did I miss? I said, But
what a great relationship, and I think it speaks to a testament of who you are and the relationships that you have built within your company, within your business over the years. I truly hope in 10 years that I'd probably be a little bit, about 15 years, I'd have my two beautiful baby girls working in the office. Yeah, I actually, not to elongate today, but I have been toying with the idea. I'm not toying anymore. I'm acting on it. I am going to hire me an operations manager. And I have had one close to that a couple years ago, or a year ago at this point, and I didn't, as the business, set him up the way we should have, don't get me wrong, but at the same time, I have focused very hard in the last 18 months of setting up systems to bring somebody else back on. But man, it is so hard. I need to be up here with my estimator selling work, and I sit here and talk about this hamster wheel of death for an entrepreneur, because you run up here and you bid a bunch of work, and you run out here and get it all done, and you, oh God, we have no work, get up here and cut prices to get on the job, and then you're out there doing low budget work, and it's just this hamster wheel. And I'm at this point that my team needs somebody that is dedicated every single day, 10 hours a day into operations. 2 years ago, I could 30 sets of plans that we were working on and 60 sets that were up front that we were bidding on. You give me a plan number and a page and a profile, and I'll tell you the elevation, but I can't do that anymore. Right. And I thought it was me. Yeah. for a long time as a business owner, I've been beating myself up. And I'm like, hey, man, it's not just you. It's the system that's built around you. Yeah. And my team, I looked at my team and I'm like, hey, guys, what do we think about this? Cy, we feel terrible having to call you. Can you please find somebody? Maybe that QC, kind of, of course, going to be QC underneath him.
Right.
But I'm toying that with myself. So I've got one last question for you, sir. Okay. It's what I ask every single person on this show. And it's what's a takeaway for the blue-collar skilled trades guy who is sick and tired of being stuck in the mud? And that means not just physically, but emotionally, mentally. Maybe that apprentice has been working at the plumbing outfit for the first 6 months, and he's really just tired of chasing tools or whatever every day, and he's just checked out up here. What you got for that guy?
Man, I just gotta tell you to keep pushing, keep fighting, block that out. It's gonna get better, and you will, you're gonna reap the rewards from it. Not only working for a company and having work, it's you're gonna money, and in our business, you have an opportunity to start your own business. And if I've been stuck many times, but it just takes just willpower and drive. I fell down many times in this over the 20 years.
This is the teacher.
Yeah, and it's just a lot of it too is how you're raised. You just raised to fight and push and never give up no matter what, and you'll get what you want. People that know me know I won't stop until I get what I want, and I don't care if it's a new house, a new car, or a tool. I will not stop till I buy it. So my work ethic's the same way. I was not going to stop till I got that master's, and I got it. So, and now I sit back and wonder what's next. I want to drive for something else now, but I'm getting too old. Just enjoying the coasting, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You've worked really hard, sir, for almost, 2 decades.
Yeah.
So you deserve a little bit of coasting time. And to you guys that are out there thinking plumbing is an option, jump over. Now is the time. We need you guys. When Jerry retires in 20 more years, he'd probably be like me, working till the last day of our funeral. But at the same time, Mr. Jerry will pay for your schooling. If you're an 18 or 19-year-old kid and you want to come be an apprentice, you may have certain parameters on there, but most plumbing companies.
Yeah, definitely reach out.
Where can we find you?
That's something real quick. I have never done in 20 years. I have never paid 1 penny for advertising. Everything I've ever done is word of mouth, because I was trying to read notes for this today, and I was like, man, I had nothing. I don't have a phone number. You can look up Jerry's Plumbing, Google Jerry's Plumbing, and it brings us up. I don't know why or how I didn't put it in there, but, my name is Jerry Houy with Jerry's Plumbing. You can find me. I'm out there, and we're always accepting applications. Doesn't hurt to have them on file.
You bet.
You never know when somebody's gonna quit or we get busy and I need to reach out to somebody, and but by all means, and that goes for any plumbing company. You don't be afraid just to go and ask them if at least you could fill out an application.
That's right.
Get on their radar, because this is an up and down. Sometimes you're booming, sometimes you're not. But when you're booming, man, you can't have enough. All we can get.
Yep, man, Mr. Jerry, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you coming in, talking with me today. I know the audience is going to appreciate it more than you'll ever understand. And if I get a message from a plumber, I will for sure pass that on. I usually get an email or two a week of, hey man, this show, Mr. Jerry said this at one time, and it changed my whole view.
Right.
And that's what this show's about, is to help you guys and bring you guys like Mr. Jerry, 20 years in business, done it the right way, built the culture, and ain't spend a dime in advertising, doesn't know anything about marketing, just good old work quality, drive, grit, determination, and never giving up. That is where you'll get where you want to go. Guys, I can't tell you how much I appreciate you tuning in and following the show. You can get it at bluecollarbusinesspodcast.com. Watch or listen directly from there. This will be episode number 39 coming at you. 38, 39, either one. Check them out all on there. Or if you're on Spotify, Apple, iHeart, or anywhere you get your podcast, make sure and drop us a rating and a follow. It helps the show get out to more of you guys. I really appreciate your time today, guys, and I hope the show helped you. Till next time. If you've enjoyed this episode, be sure to give it a like, share it with the fellers, check out our website to send us any questions and comments about your experience in the blue collar business. Who do you want to hear from? Send them our way, and we'll do our best to answer any questions you may have. Till next time, guys.